For me, one of the coolest parts of Vegas and that whole experience was Friday after the show. Our mixer open bar where Greg Cody was getting hammered had begun. I had a drink or two, and I said to myself, where is Dan? And someone told me Dan was still out there, and he stayed for almost 4 hours. And I know, Dan, you're going to kind of try to push us away from this, but we need to – how about Dan Le Batard, man of the people, talking to people for almost 4 hours. It was just really cool to see.
It's very nice. It was a very nice thing to see Dan do. I went up to people in his line, and I said, hey, just 2.5 hours before you get to Dan. Dan needs to learn how to work a line. You need to do it quicker. Listen, it's great that you took the time and talked to everyone. I'm not certain they wanted to talk to you that long. Just take a picture, ask them their name, where are they from, thank them for coming, and keep it moving. All right?
I did get a report that, like, someone would come up to you and be like, oh, I love David Sampson. You're like, let's FaceTime him. And then you just started FaceTiming, like, anyone people would mention, and it kind of dragged it out.
Yeah.
Somebody actually walked up to me. It was a bit invasive, right? I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the hotels in Vegas have a surveillance that is second to none. But somebody who works there, a vice president, came up to me and said, we went through the surveillance and saw what you were doing for 4 hours. And they're like, we saw that you FaceTimed your father and Samson for people. Now, we were outdoors, so I don't know how those cameras and satellites work, how they know what was on my phone when I'm like far away from where the cameras are.
They know everything.
Was a bit invasive. My guess is that we would have some fun watching whatever the videos produce in Vegas at these hotels. But I would say to you, and Dan, I would say, I don't know if I learned this from Dan Patrick, but Dan Patrick certainly showed me early on in my career something that I didn't necessarily understand before that, which is, especially now with the number of options that people have, if people are taking time out for 2 and 3 hours a day to listen to a gas bag sports writer from Miami and then fly out to there, and Stugotz, the number of people who are apologizing to me, I only drove 6 hours. I've only been listening since 2011 because they're surrounded by people. This is what's the coolest thing about what we were in the middle of, is that the people walking into it know that they have friends next to them just because all of the similarities that you need to have commonalities. It's a community of people that are friends as soon as they walk in because they care about our show in some of the same ways. And so I do not take for granted that any of these people spend this amount of time listening to us because they could be listening to anybody. And I understand what you're saying about getting in and out, because that part is emotionally draining. It's a bit exhausting, especially just given what my last couple of years have been and given what that week specifically was. But how can I not be profoundly grateful? That's our business. Those are our customers. Those people will never leave us. Those people in those lines will never leave us.
You can be grateful. Just be grateful in less than 30 seconds. That's all I'm saying. Like, that's it. Like, did it dawn on you that maybe some of the people in line were like, whoa, like, I've been talking to this guy for 10 minutes. I just want to go.
You think they wanted to go and that I was keeping them? You think
that's a hilarious visual of like, geez, all right, Dan. Yeah.
I did have a guy.
Enough already.
I did have a guy go up to me, him and his wife, and then we were talking to them, and they've had been to multiple mosses. They won one of our auctions, which I'm trying to rectify because they won like a studio visit, and then COVID happened, and they never got it, but they paid for that in auction. I'm like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this and figure this out for you. And then I had a moment where we're there talking because I remembered them. And then, on the way out, the wife goes to the husband, oh, you want to take a picture? And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay. I tell the guy, I'm right here. Like, I can hear this exchange. I feel like shit now. Thanks, sir. I'm not going to fix this for you.
But they sometimes wanted the interaction. They don't need the picture. Everybody wants the picture.
Yeah, but
they
I
don't need the
say
picture.
it right in front of my face.
I mean, I go right into the middle of that pit, and I'm doing 3 things at once, Dan. I'm taking selfies over here, signing packs of cigarettes over there, doing it all at one time, mocking people in your line for waiting 2.5 hours to speak to you. It's a glorious time. Do it that way. It's more fun.
Do you understand, though? Because I don't know. Perhaps you guys don't. This part also eludes even us, right? Because the viewing and listening habits of people have changed so much over the last 5 years that you could be forgiven for missing this part. But the thing that I kept coming back to consistently with all of the people in that 4-hour line was, How many other entertainment options do you have that you listen to this much, or that you would drive 6 hours just to shake someone's hand and thank you? Like, give me all the others. Name them.
There's nothing going
It's
on
just
in Utah.
It's just music acts. It would only be music acts.
You're right. I think
There are no others. Like, I was getting no other answers than that, and I just can't help but be moved by that, because what we do is so ridiculously silly as a living.
Can we circle back to Jess at the airport for a moment? Because I'm wondering if she remembers this one moment that only a handful of us got to experience when we were sitting down preparing to board the plane, and we looked over, and she simply took her eyelashes off and put them in Lewis's hand.
Wow.
I've never heard the room make so much noise.
Well, I don't remember that.
You
actually.
don't remember that?
Oh God, no.
Was this before or after the loud talking at the diner with Greg Cody?
After.
It's
After.
They're on the plane now. Yeah.
He was just sitting there like with his hand out like this, and she just turns over, sees his empty hand, and goes, whoop, takes him off and just puts him in his hand.
And that's some great Vegas punctuation right there.
Trauma bonding,
You
Dan.
stagger out of a sad deli,
What did he do with them?
a sad
still has
diner.
I'm pretty sure at one dinner, Lewis admitted to all of us that he used to eat Lysol.
He did. do
Yes,
that.
he did. He said that.
He would spray
What?
it into the air and then try to catch it.
That explains a lot, too.
But why?
Like as breath freshener?
Yeah.
He described it as a snack.
He just said in my ear, it tastes great, Dan.
We learned a lot on this trip.
Stop speaking in his ear.
Jessica, can you please tell me a little bit more about what you don't remember here?
I wish I could. What I don't know what happened. Between I got to the airport and got through security, and then I thought I met up with you guys, and then I boarded. I don't
You
remember.
sat at the diner for like 10 minutes, and then you were like, ooh, snacks. And then went over and stayed in the line for snacks. Mm-hmm. And then we parted ways, and you went to your gate. That's what I remember.
But when do you normally take off your eyelashes? Are they usually things that you put in the human hands of others?
No, but it's actually funny you say that, because there was also, when I was at the Kelsey party, I took out my contacts and put them in a drink, I guess, because I couldn't see anything anymore.
Someone else's?
What?
Are you
No,
roofied someone with your contacts?
It was like a drink off to the side that someone was finished with. You know, like at the end of in Caddyshack when Spalding is walking around drinking the empty glasses? It was like one of those glasses, and he eats the cigarette. But someone did that with my contacts probably at this party.
Why did you do that?
I couldn't see anything anymore because we had been up for like 20 hours, and my contacts were so dry, and I don't know. I thought it was a good idea. I probably gave myself a bacterial infection, too, because my hands were not clean.
Your solution to not seeing was removing the things from your eyes that allow you to see.
It does help when you're at a certain point in the night. Sometimes you take out the contacts, you regain a little bit of sight. I can't explain it. It's science.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Can you please put up a video or perhaps a frozen still of what Chris Cody is alleging, which I don't believe what he's alleging, which is he says that Paul Rudd has, for the first time, officially aged. He has now gotten older.
Oh, yeah.
We've got Paul Rudd, a photograph of him here. Eric Stonestreet is going to join us later in the show. These are the two most famous Kansas City fans now outside of Taylor Swift, right? They used to have. I wonder if Eric Stonestreet is jealous that Taylor Swift has come and taken some of his chief fandom fame. But Paul Rudd there does look. Paul Rudd is what? Is he 55 yet? Because he somehow got to 50 without aging at all. But finally, Paul Rudd, I think it's just I think he's lost weight, and I think his haircut is a little more unruly than it used to be. And, of course, that mustache is
stubble, too.
It's a bit haggard, a bit lumberjack.
Stubble will age anyone.
Yes.
Look, don't take this as a criticism. This isn't me saying that he looks ridiculously old. It's just he has taken the first step in, aging slightly.
Right.
Which
He's
is
54,
all we
by
could
the way.
say.
Yeah, 54.
Está flaquito.
Everyone takes that step.
He has lost a lot of weight. That's part of it.
Is this like a part that he's playing?
Is that must be his son, no?
That is his son, yes.
Couple of Rudds cutting it up.
What would be the part? Would it be a motorcycle gang? Like, what is it? Is it
No.
Is it a plumber from the 1980s? Is it
Porn.
Young Greg Cody from the Hee Haw 3.
is it the neighbor in Office Space?
I'm with Stu. It's porn. It's the mustache. Yeah. You're doing a thing with the mustache there.
Yeah.
I would like to ask the group a question because, Stugotz, I found, you guys, I've gotten nobody to buy in on my general offense that fewer and fewer people in America are taking cold, hard-earned cash in return for services. They're always asking me to give a card. I don't love Stugotz.
The casino takes cash.
The casino does take cash. I don't like, though, the way that America in general is moving toward a cashless society in a way that's making me more and more feel like my dollars don't have value. There are many places that I can't get things with my dollar because they simply tell me, we don't take that here, give us your card. And I hadn't considered it until I got to Vegas, which I hadn't been to Vegas since this change. What a situation that is for baggage handlers, for valets, for people who get you cabs. They must lose so much money because nobody's going to go back and Venmo them. Those industries must have been derailed by the fact that cash has been eliminated because people who were handling stuff for me were consistently surprised and grateful that I was the only one giving cash because no one's doing that anymore.
You have to have a barcode if you're in that industry at this point.
But don't you think that even if you do, even if you're totally technologically aligned with the times, I still think people say, give me your Venmo, I'll send it to you. They get in the car and don't send you.
Do it all the time.
I'm sure.
Do you?
I'm sure.
Classic move.
I am sure.
I got you, buddy.
This guy had an empty promise to end all promises that we can talk about next segment, but oh my God.
What happened?
We'll talk about it next segment.
I can't believe that. That's one of the things I am the most decent I am in my life is about making sure that I tip people and Venmo them. I always just feel so bad about about them losing money because of technology. I'm like exchanging phone numbers with some guy because I'm gonna Venmo him or Zelle him. It's
dangerous game.
It's always awkward. It's
careful.
always like, hey man, can I get? I don't have.
Then he has all his info, takes all your money. I mean, be careful.
And sometimes they act like they're a little. It's like, dude, I'm trying to help you here. Like, I know it's annoying that we have to do this, but it's technology.
I had not considered the baggage handlers, how much money they must be losing because I'm the only one out here with dollars.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations. Wow. Vegas. Heaters.
Hold on, let's start over. You're
gonna re-rack that. You're gonna play it back.
Yeah, we're gonna
replay. Be on the
yeah,
medal
we're gonna.
stand.
No, we're not gonna edit it
I deserve
out.
it. I
We're
mean,
just gonna start
don't-
over. We're gonna start over so that people can see how ugly it can get around here.
I was writing.
It is time for Stugotz to share his game notes. No one in the media will tell you what happened better than my boy Stu.
Weekend observations. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Great taste. 96 calories. Available for delivery. Dan, amazing how the sports calendar works. Football comes to an end, and something else we love begins. Something we love so much, we have no idea it started 4 months ago. That won't stop us from sounding like experts. Keep an eye on Grand Canyon, the Antelopes, out of the Western Athletic. 22-2. Experience guard play with Grant Foster and Harrison. This team can score with anyone, Dano. Don't be surprised if they make a deep run in March. And Dan, just like that, make no mistake about it, college basketball is back. You excited?
In a month.
All right. Hey, America, how you feeling today? Huh? Exactly. Super Bowl Saturday? You think?
People have to be crawling around to work today.
Oh, it's gross.
Put it on the poll, Juju, at LeBatard Show. Is every workplace in America filled with burping and farts today?
Patrick Mahomes, do it against Tom Brady. Since Dan said Tyreek Hill took the Chiefs' offense with him, they are 2-0 in Super Bowls.
But they're not as good offensively. They are not.
2-0 in Super Bowls.
That team
Roy's
is-
been burping all morning, Dan.
So have I.
Disgusting. Really?
But no farts because Mike's not here right now.
Huh.
Right.
Respectfully.
Disrespect.
The M in Donovan Mitchell stands for MVP. He should win it, right?
No.
Really? Huh. Why not, Chris? Why are you making that face?
The M in Donovan Mitchell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
MVP.
Mitchell.
What
MITCHELL.
what don't you understand?
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus
Super
Christ.
Bowl week,
No,
buddy.
no.
Jake Moody.
Oh, you said N.
Oh,
M.
DONO.
Jake Moody had the longest field goal in Super Bowl history for about a minute, or as Rick Pitino would call it, an eternity. Kyle Shanahan blowing a lead in the Super Bowl, only to then lose in overtime. You know what they say, Dan?
Blowing a lead in a Super Bowl only to
History repeats itself.
what? Only to lose in overtime. Never mind.
Kentucky had never lost 3 consecutive games inside Rupp Arena under John Calipari until Saturday. You know what they also say, Dan?
I do not.
First time for everything. Just not Kyle Shanahan winning a Super Bowl. When you need it most, nobody, and I mean nobody, dials up the pressure like Steve Spagnuolo. Spags. The S in Spags stands for should have won MVP over Mahomes. I'm serious. Spags won them the Super Bowl. He did. Dan, you're the York family. Bill Belichick calls. What do you do?
What do you mean?
What do you do? You own the Niners.
You ask him if he wants some consulting work.
What do you do?
You
You know why he's calling.
Right.
What do you do?
You don't hire him.
Huh. Interesting. You like losing in Super Bowls, huh?
He did some of that.
Did a lot of winning, too.
Not as much as Mahomes.
Shanahan hasn't won any. McCole Hardman started the year as a Jet. I hate them. Kyle Shanahan. More like Kyle Shanahan can't win the big one.
That's terrible.
I liked it. My observation.
Could have been Shanna Cant.
More like Shanahan.
It's funnier.
A stone Chris Cody in Las Vegas getting super excited when he realized how close Will Levis was to being named Will Elvis is Super Bowl and Radio Row Week all wrapped into one.
You flip the E and the L?
Yeah.
He's Will Elvis.
Yeah, put it on the poll, Juju. Do you think dyslexic people think Will Levis is Elvis?
Well,
This was my night on Fremont Street with Chris.
Then they'd know him as Levis, and then they'd be like, oh, Will Elvis. You just switch the letters around. He's almost Levis.
He wouldn't stop.
Just flipping words around?
And smoking.
I was like, does he know how close he is to being Will Elvis? But does he know?
He kept saying, Stu, you don't get it.
Who bets on 35?
Bets on 28. Like just a drunk Greg Cody.
Tony, stash this away in the Something to Ponder file. Would we be calling what Travis Kelce did to Andy Reid a love tap if the Chiefs lost?
Or if it was OBJ.
Just stash it away
I'm going to put it away right now.
for a rainy day.
What are you saying there?
I'm just saying.
What if he was black?
Dan of 2012.
I didn't say that. Who brought race into this?
Billy.
Taylor Swift won a Super Bowl in her first year as an NFL fan. I've been waiting my entire life.
Kadarius Toney has twice as many Super Bowls as Dan Marino and Aaron Rodgers combined.
We got to start playing Montana Mahomes now, right?
I don't
Get
know.
Marino out of there.
I don't know.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know.
Put it on the poll, Juju. Should we start playing Montana Mahomes?
When you have Patrick Mahomes up by 7 or more points in the postseason, you know where he has you?
Right where he wants you.
Dano. Kansas City Chiefs. I've been wrong about everything. UCLA, won 6-10, has won 7 of 8, proving Mick Cronin is impossible to kill. March is coming, Dan. Patrick Mahomes Do it against Eli Manning. $100,000 worth of damages to the sphere. Le Batard, expect a bill. Back in 2019, after Troy Aikman found out that Patrick Mahomes had 36% of Troy Aikman's touchdowns in 8% of his games, he said, talk to me when he has 33% of my Super Bowl rings. Fast forward 4 years. Mahomes has thrown for 132% of Troy's touchdowns and won 100% of his Super Bowls in 58% of his career games. Hey, Troy, I guess we can talk now.
Let's examine this for a second, because there was 3 years ago a tweet that Aikman was sent. 36% of his career touchdown passes Mahomes had in 8% of the games. And Aikman did have a good comeback at the time. Talk to me when he has 33% of my Super Bowl title. Little did he know that 3 years later, Mahomes would have 100% of his Super Bowl titles. I mean,
in 58% of his career games.
Great take at the time.
Troy, you got to go in there 18 months later and delete it when no one's looking.
Do you guys think that Troy Aikman, the way that he looks and what he's getting paid, is sweating any of this?
Yeah.
There's a bunch of dum-dums.
Yeah.
Fair enough. He does look good. He's got six-pack abs.
Good.
He's making $17 million a year to do 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't look as good as Cower
You really, what
Or
happened
Golick.
there? How did you fall in love all over?
or Sam Hartman.
How did you fall in love all over again with Bill Cowher? When and how did that happen?
His outfit. Whoever is. Do you guys have the same stylist? Whoever's styling him, impeccable. Oh my God, he looks
Valerie? Valerie is styling Bill Cowher?
Troy looks like he could throw me
Valerie.
around.
Hey, yo.
Sounds like you like him, too.
Whoa!
Haven't said no.
Caitlin Clark turned into Kirk Ferentz's offense in the fourth quarter against Nebraska. The Cornhuskers. Kickers have gotten too good. I'm tired of it. A 50-yard kick used to mean something. It did. You remember?
Yeah.
I mean, Matt Barr hit one from 51. I mean, he was carried off the field.
Yeah. Yeah. It used to mean something. That's correct.
Wisconsin, 4 straight losses. Dan, you know what the W in Wisconsin stands for?
I do not.
Wheels are falling off.
Really?
A combo of 2 guys named Pinnell and Chanel caused the opening drive fumble for the Chiefs. The rare 2 last names that sound like a purse and perfume company.
Pinnell and Chanel?
Yeah. Radio Row, I miss you. McCaffrey and Pacheco, couple of running backs, coughing it up. Whatever. The T in Trey Greenlaw stands for that was the weirdest injury I've ever seen in my entire life.
Trey?
I hope so.
How?
If a commercial tells you it looks like soda, guess what? It's not soda. Who's buying that?
His name's Dre, just so we're clear.
I got it wrong. I live by a simple motto. If it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's not going to the college football playoff. Kyle Shanahan, the Chris Paul, is strong in you. 6 days in Vegas. I was lucky to get out alive. Top 5 places where if you stay 6 days, you feel lucky to make it home alive.
All right. Excellent.
Number 5, State Pen.
Where's the fanfare? You got to get the fanfare. You're hitting the beeps. You got to get thank you. Super
Number
Bowl
4.
Super Bowl week, Dano.
The World Cup. Number 3, Provo, Utah on a Friday night.
What?
You're lucky to
Been
make it
there,
out
yeah.
alive,
Been
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
What?
Thank you, Tom.
What do you mean?
Number 2,
I don't know.
the west coast of Florida. And number 1,
Why Provo, Utah? What?
Death Valley.
Oh, so if you're a college football team traveling into, that's what you're saying?
Yes.
Provo? Okay.
No one makes it out alive, Dan.
Okay, but the west coast of Florida.
Yeah, well, that's
a weird place,
Spend
Dan.
6 days there.
USF?
Here come the Cavs. Las Vegas, Radio Row, Super Bowl week, Fremont Street. It all adds up to a super spreader event. Lord knows what I came home with. Top 5 things you come home with from Las Vegas.
Okay.
Number 5, no money. Number 4, fanfare.
Fanfare, Chris.
Number 4, disease. Number 3, shame. Number 2, guilt. Number 1, nothing.
Come home with nothing.
Yes,
Oh, I lie my eyelashes, I guess.
because you've lost everything.
Right. Okay.
Warriors, watch out.
What?
Watch out for them.
Oh, okay. Watch out for
Watch
the
out for the
Warriors.
Warriors. Warriors, watch out, Dan. Did it backwards that
Okay.
time.
I thought,
Vegas
I
Super
thought
Bowl
you were
week.
telling the Warriors to watch out.
No,
You're
I'm telling
us
everyone else to
out.
watch out for the Warriors.
Okay.
Starting to get hot at the right time.
Okay.
It's almost March.
All right. They're 500.
Watch out.
Watch
Is
out.
it the right time?
4 straight.
It's not the right
We're
time.
not even at the
Watch
All-Star
out.
break yet.
It's not the right time.
Greg's right.
Brock Purdy. Blah, blah, blah. You know what the B in Harrison Butker stands for?
I do not.
Balls.
Really?
Yes. Big balls. Tennessee ran into a buzzsaw against Texas A&M, and his name is Buzz Williams. Can't believe he's not coaching at Marquette. He's always been at Marquette.
No, it's
Virginia Tech, then Marquette.
Several teams ago.
Interesting. Show of hands. How many people were learning the new overtime rules as the game was happening? And how many people were still confused as the quarter was ending? I like the clock, though. I do. I need something counting something down. You know, it adds to the pressure, even though there was no clock. The R in Andy Reid stands for retirement.
No. What?
The A in Andy Reid stands for adios, amigo.
What?
Dan, I know. Listen, whatever he said today or last night, in the moment, emotional, just won a Super Bowl, he's done. No one knows more about the Chiefs team than I do.
You've been so right about them for so many years.
Terrible. Should have taken that one out.
Why do you still have Andy Reid retiring?
I don't know. Did you see him? Travis Reed is bumping. Travis
Bit of a
Reed.
futures bet here for Stu.
Travis Kelce is bumping into him. He can't get up off of Chris Jones. I mean, once you retire, he just went to.
Who is Travis?
Trey Greenlaw got hurt.
Who is Travis Reed? Who is?
It was a mixture of Travis Kelce and Andy Reid. Vegas Super Bowl week, Monday.
So sloppy this morning.
Super Bowl Saturday. Christopher Walken, Super Bowl commercial. The Watch. Reba's national anthem. Cash those tickets on the over. The Queen of Country. She held that last note. She made me sweat, but she held that last note. You know what the S in Shanahan stands for, Dan? Not the Super Bowl, and it never will. Andy Reid, enjoy retirement. You've earned it. It's been a hell of a ride. Speaking of hell, Art Briles. Dan, those are the weekend.
So you should have taken out the
Observations.
Andy Reid thing, but then you made it your closer. He's retired.
I added to it.
I need the audience to understand that Vegas has battered the entire sports and entertainment industry. Eric Stonestreet, we've misplaced him. He's in a gutter somewhere. He'll be here later this week at some point if we can drag him out of his drunken debauchery and celebration and hungover nonsense.
You just put him in a gutter. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to emerge from the gutter or not. What he's not going to do is be on the show today. Jemele Hill has toughed it out because she's tougher than Eric Stonestreet, but she sounds like total. She was at a Snoop Dogg concert. Was it last night after the Super Bowl? So you lose, your team loses in heartbreaking fashion in overtime, and you celebrate by just going to the place where there is more weed per square foot than anywhere in America.
Yeah, it was Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre.
oh my God. Oh my God. Whoa.
Vegas happened to her.
That's a fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
she sounds like she's hurting. Well,
Imagine if the Niners won.
tell us your condition, Jemele. Tell us how hurt you were, and if being with Dr. Dre and Snoop cured what ailed you medicinally.
Yeah, it did. I didn't smoke. That's not why my voice sounds this way. It was just a lot of yelling all week. You know, every party, every situation, everything's loud. It was. I know I sound like Tim Kirchin. No disrespect. But
You sound worse than me.
Yeah.
I mean,
So what happened? Tell us, because you got there. I was hoping to see you at Cirque on Friday. I thought you were going to bomb in, parachute in, and then you got your party started immediately, and it just raged all weekend, and then it ends in heartbreak.
it does. I mean, I'm still devastated because that was a game much like the last time that was in hand, and then you see everything that happened, and I know a lot of people are blaming Kyle Shanahan, and I'm one of them. Because, like,
yes,
yes, I'm in this crowd firmly. To me, the game was lost when in overtime they kicked the field goal. But on the third and four call, I hated the call. Brock Purdy, empty backfield. Chris Jones has been basically, all over him. I mean, and we've seen this before throughout the game. And it reminded me, I don't remember if it was the AFC title game when it was, but Bill Belichick had made it up in his mind that Peyton Manning was not going to beat them. They were not going to lose with Tom Brady sitting down. And as aggressive as Shanahan was on that fourth down call, to me on 3rd and 4, before they kicked the field goal in overtime, you have to call the 3rd and 4 of your life. And it felt like he settled for a field goal. And you cannot do that against the greatest quarterback, maybe of this next generation that we're seeing right now.
call for your life. I mean,
I'm
holy she sounds like Vegas.
Yeah,
man.
she sounds like Vegas. And I want to, and she sounds like sports questioning expertise today, because the losers are going to get a lot of this because the winner is an eternal winner, Stugotz. He has now solidified himself almost. It doesn't even matter what happens after this. Patrick Mahomes is going to be known as someone who's an eternal winner because it took Peyton Manning into his 30s to win his first title. Like, you're not allowed to win like this. But something Jemele said I do think is going to be overlooked going forward, which is this Chiefs team, for all its greatness, my guess is it'll be remembered more for Tyreek Hill than Chris Jones, but Chris Jones has been a menace during all of their championship chasing. That dude during the playoffs is an unholy terror. He's an unholy terror all the time, but you have to be scared of him. That guy changes games on defense in a way very few defenders in the entire league do, Jemele.
Yeah, he does. It was interesting because, of course, I was watching the game with my husband, and a lot of Lions fans they're pissed because they see the same defense that they just annihilated, for one half in the NFC title game. And the Chiefs, this was not their best game. And that's the thing that is so upsetting. It's like the Chiefs could afford to make 25 mistakes in a game. But when you have Patrick Mahomes, when you have Chris Jones, those mistakes are mitigated. So they don't have to be perfect. And this was supposed to be a down year for them. And they still wind up winning the Super Bowl.
And, Jemele, in the first quarter and really first half, you've got the game. Like, how are you not up by more points? Like, everybody's watching that first half, and they're saying San Francisco's only up 10-0. Mahomes is only down 10-0.
Yeah, I was never comfortable because I know the kind of offensive player that he is. I know the genius that Andy Reid is. And I knew when it came time to be aggressive, I would have expected them to be far more aggressive than Kyle Shanahan. I knew, they are such a dynamic offense and a difficult offense to stop. So, you can't put this on Brock Purdy. If you would have told me that at halftime, the Chiefs would only have 3 points, I would say, we have won this game. Or they gave up 19 in regulation. You cannot ask for a better defensive performance. This is the best the 49ers defense has looked in a month. And so it just felt like all that was wasted. You get a clean game from Purdy, great defense. So naturally, the attention shifts towards Kyle Shanahan, who has done this now in 3 Super Bowls. It's like, dude, what don't you get? What is the common denominator here? And I just felt like, as aggressive and as much kudos as he deserves again for the 4th down call when it mattered, that offensive dynamo, that wizardry he allegedly has, never showed up.
Hot seat?
I don't think you can do that. But I mean, well, actually, I mean, I can't. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like he should get fired or or just go crazy here. But the reality is, like, we've seen this movie before in sports where a team feels like they hit a ceiling. And the one thing they can change is this. You know what? There's nothing the 49ers need. It's just certain situations they've been in that they have not been able to execute. And it's hard for me not to look in another direction besides Kyle Shanahan.
So if you're the York family and the phone rings this morning and it's Bill Belichick and he wants to come coach your team, I ask you, Jemele, what do you do?
You probably say no.
That is the correct answer, Jemele. That is the correct answer.
Probably,
He keeps asking that question.
Probably say no.
Probably.
Jamel, we're going to let you go. Thank you for toughing it out for 7 minutes. A heroic effort. A heroic effort from a heartbroken.
Better performance than the 49ers in overtime.
We appreciate.
Dang, that hurt.
I'm sorry. That felt really
That
mean.
had to hurt, all of it. I mean.
See you later, Jamel. Thank you for being on with us. Chris Cody yesterday was impressed, Stugotz, by something that I haven't been impressed by for, 40 years.
Okay.
The CBS pregame show.
Oh, man.
Not since Phyllis George and Brent Musburger and Jimmy the Greek.
Did you see the documentary on that the hour before the Super Bowl pregame show? It was fantastic. It really was.
I did not see that, but I'm just telling you, maybe it was just because I'm gonna be honest. I hadn't watched it all season leading up to the Super Bowl because I'm usually on NFL Network, ESPN for my pregame stuff.
Fox is the number one show for 30 years. The pregame show that is most watched by everybody for 3 decades now. Fox is the winner, and you've seen all of those guys get old on television.
I would say that CBS had the consensus of the main 4 the worst. And, man, you had J.J. Watt with a great hairstyle.
What are you doing there?
That was new
What
yesterday.
are you doing?
Nate Burleson with the energy. They're making fun of the old guys. They did a Wedding Crashers spoof where Nate Burleson's drunk in a hotel room. You got Phil Simms coming out in underwear, no pants on. I mean, I'm just saying they brought their best foot forward. They had them. At one point they were going from near the Bellagio to the stadium, and they had like shots in the car of them like eating sandwiches. It was a less stiff, more. You can tell that they were like, hey, we got to freshen this thing up. So they're just taking chances. And I'm just saying, you got to give it a chance. It's not as terrible as it used to be.
Has J.J. Watt lost a lot of weight? Because I saw him in a hotel lobby. I was walking right past him. I'm like, that looks like J.J. Watt, but he looked like he was my size. And when I talked to him when he was coming out of Wisconsin.
He looked big on the
And he
set.
gained a lot of weight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billy.
It was there. I mean, what do you want me to
He
do?
laid it up. I mean.
Come on.
Jesus.
But I'm telling you, his hair looked great. It's just they
You
had
think
a vibe.
I weigh more than J.J. Watt?
Present day?
You think right now I weigh more than J.J. Watt?
I'm on it.
You know our hotel is right down the street from that giant scale that you stand on at that
Yes,
Heart Attack
the Heart
Grill or
Attack
whatever it's
Cafe.
called. Yeah.
It was closed.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to go. It was closed.
Not on Friday or on Tuesday. Lucy and I walked by and someone was getting weighed. He was like 320 though, so he didn't get to eat for free.
Oh,
The
right there.
the internet says J.J. Watt is 288.
Dan, there is a picture of J.J. Watt at his home gym. He is looking shredded. Yeah.
But he looked thinner. He looked a lot smart. He looked more like a linebacker than a defensive lineman. So I'm asking you because I didn't see him on the pregame show. That pregame show is a bit starched, Stugotz. It's an older pregame show. It's been old.
Well, CBS is old.
CBS is all about Murder, She Wrote and Angela
NCIS.
Lansbury.
Oh,
yeah.
don't.
FBI.
Murder, She Wrote is still one of the classics, though, Dan.
I thought Matt Ryan was
Jessica
part
Fletcher,
of that
my
show.
namesake.
Matty Ice?
No, Matt Ryan is like one of their main game broadcasters. He was part of the pregame that they sent over to they had Ian Eagle and like some of those guys doing a desk work. But man, I'm telling you, J.J. Watt, he brought life to this thing. I'm telling you, give it a shot. I know most people haven't been to the CBS pregame show in a long time. Even though football won't be back for 7 months, give it a chance.
And Cowher looked great.
Also looking great and shirtless yesterday, Mike Ryan, when he streaked onto the field during the game. The end of his executive producer reign here. For many of you who are worried that he's leaving the show, he's not leaving the show. He's just leaving his role as executive producer. He's been promoted in the company.
And he's in jail.
And here he is going to jail because he was shirtless and arrested while streaking on the field as part of our punctuation for the Super Bowl festivities.
He called you, right, Dan? and you said no, you're not going to bail him out.
Yeah, I was flying. I couldn't bail him out. Somebody else had
So that's why he's not here.
I got the message this morning. He might still be in jail. Yes.
Should have called Carrot Top.
Well, he didn't have money for a Super Bowl ticket. I don't know how he's going to bail Mike Bryant
But
out.
yet he was there eating a hot dog.
That whole story. We'll get to that next segment, I guess.
Come on, I set it up for
Wow,
you.
another tease from Billy.
Why is Mike upset that people are tagging him on the story? I mean, Mike wishes he looked like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, dude's not wrong.
Without
Body
the cuffs.
shaming
Without
segment.
the cuffs. Without the cuffs.
No, Mike. It wasn't Mike because Mike was at the Miami Hurricanes basketball game that lost to North Carolina this weekend with Taylor.
Bloods, right.
Billy, so you have now
down.
teased in the next segment. What are we getting? Let's do the full
Yeah.
tease. What are we getting from Billy next segment?
Next segment, we're going to get to a story, Dan, of one of Stugotz's most empty promises he's ever delivered.
That's saying a lot. Man.
That's such a good tease.
I mean, I cannot wait to hear where it is that this ends up.